Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Throat Punch Lunch. This is a show that's dedicated to a number of different aspects of the industry, and my contributors do a great job at keeping things pretty fresh in here, so I think that you'll enjoy. Just stick around for a little bit. I know the name of the show is a little bit hard to swallow, but that's actually coming to an end here pretty soon. We have been doing some talking amongst ourselves as the contributors and myself, the host, and I think it's time to change the name of the show. Now, the name of the show, I still want the initials to be TPL, so there is a little bit of difficulty there. So we wanted to open it up to you guys to see what you might think would be a cool name for the show. Given that you've watched the show, you know what we offer and those kinds of things. So we're going to open it up to you guys. We've been talking about it in our Slack group, but now I think I want to open it up to you guys. I have a couple of ideas that are out there, but I want to see what you guys come up with first to see where we go from here. So, with all of that being said, all you need to do is reply to the comment section below. Don't send an email or anything like that. Just reply to the comment section below. That's where everybody that is a contributor on the show is going to be looking anyway. So we'll all be able to look at the different suggestions that you guys come up with and then go back to our little Slack cave and decide on which one we may want to go to if we want to use any of the ones that you offer. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But we won't know that until you proffer up some ideas. So with that being said, just put them in the comment section below. What do you think we should change the name of Throat Punch Lunch to? Now, you might be asking, well, why are you doing this? Well, we have taken a lot of flack over the last couple of years about the name of the show. People just have been, I guess, they just don't like it. It's too violent, or it's this or it's that, and honestly, it was a joke the entire time, and we're just kind of tired of taking that flack. That's basically the reason why we're changing it. We still think it's funny, but at the same time, we understand that not everybody does, and maybe we're missing out on some potential audience members just because of the name itself. So with all that having been said, we are going to change the name. We just don't know to what just yet. So that's why we're calling on you guys to give us some help. What do you think the new name of Throat Punch Lunch should be? So with that having been said, let's get to the rest of your lunch.
Hi, this is Ambie from Boardgame Blitz, and this is Strategically Thematic, a segment where I talk about theme in different strategic games. This time I'm talking about Adrenaline. Adrenaline is a board game that's themed around a first-person shooter video game, where players are different characters trying to pick up different weapons and ammos and shoot the other players and kill them to get points. One of the main mechanisms of Adrenaline is area control, but instead of a typical area control where you're trying to control different territories, in Adrenaline the territories are the other players. So whenever you shoot another player, you get your tokens on them, and it shows that you've done damage to them. And whoever did the most damage gets more points when the player dies. You can also get bonus points for overkilling a player, which happens a lot in first-person shooter video games. There are a bunch of different weapons and ammo that you can pick up in the game, and they spawn at different points on the board, just like in a video game. The weapons are represented by different cards, and the ammo is represented by colored cubes, so each weapon needs certain colored cubes in order to load up the weapon. You can move around on the board and pick up weapons and ammo, just like in a video game, and you have to spend your ammo in order to reload your weapon so that you can shoot. Also, the different weapons each have different powers which are thematic. Like, for example, the tractor beam allows you to pull an enemy towards you before shooting, and the shotgun does a lot of damage, but only if you're close to the enemy. So if you get a couple of different weapons, you can combo them to make good attacks. The name of the game, Adrenaline, also plays a part in the theme of the game, because when you get damaged, you end up getting more powerful because of the adrenaline you get after getting hurt. All of these different mechanisms work really well together to bring the theme of a first-person shooter video game to a board game form. I really enjoy playing Adrenaline, trying to combo the different weapons together to get a really good shot off on someone, and to try to go for the overkill. Thanks for watching Strategically Thematic. Let me know what you think in the comments.
It's Roy Cannaday from Epic Gaming Night, and this is Why It's There, where I take a look at a game in my collection and why it stayed around on my shelves. I just got back from Cool Mini or Not Expo, and I thought it'd be a great chance to talk about a Cool Mini or Not game that's probably my favorite game for them, but it's a game that's definitely going to stick around on my shelf forever because I love it so much, and that game is Blood Rage. This is the game of Viking combat where you're trying to figure out how to complete quests and gain lots of glory for your clan, send people off to Valhalla. You can be playing strategies where you're trying to win combat and gain lots of glory, or whether you're trying to sneak around and steal rage from people by losing combat. It's all about trying to figure out how to get in the right areas to complete your quests, and then there's all sorts of other cool ways and combos you can do to gain glory for your clan. I've had a blast playing Blood Rage. It's one of like the most played games in my game group. We just love playing it, trying out the different combos, and some of my friends like try the same combo over and over again. They're like, I'm gonna win the game with this combo, whether it kills me or not. And we've had a blast playing it. We've actually like played a 5-player game of Blood Rage like in 1 hour where we're just like speed drafting and speed playing and like, okay, you go, you go, you go. And I've had a ton of fun playing this. I played it with Sam at Cool Mini or Not Expo, and then we played it again during the live stream for the marathon, and I've just had a blast playing Blood Rage every chance I've gotten. I actually do pretty good at this game most of the time, and I did tie with my co-host in one game, and there's not an official tiebreaker unless you count arm wrestling, which I let Sam by proxy lose, which I'll put a photo of that here. But anyway, a great game, Blood Rage. It's a ton of fun every single time I play. It's never going off my shelf because Viking combat glory, yeah! So Blood Rage is definitely staying on my shelf, and that's why it's there.
Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Bobby, and this is These Totally Geeky Games, where I make recommendations of games for those geeky friends of ours with interests outside of our hobby. This week, in trying to keep the segments relevant, I look back in the past couple of weeks of geek news to see what's been happening. And no, I'm not talking about Infinity War. Not this time. You've probably had enough of that on the internet. This week, I'm talking about the news that came out last week. And it was confirmed from Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter that they'll return for a Bill and Ted third movie. There's going to be a third Bill and Ted movie, and they're both returning for it, which is really exciting. And that's why I want to recommend a game to you this week. And no, I'm not recommending Battleship. I'm recommending Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Games. Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Games is a really simple, fun, light programming game from Steve Jackson Games, wherein it's kind of the plot of the first movie. You take a time-traveling phone booth and you go around and try to pick up friends from history and try to convince them to come back to high school with you to help you with your high school presentation. And hopefully not run into a bunch of cowboys and knights along the way that'll apprehend those dudes back. And it's a really fun game, and I'm always seeing it in discount bins and things like that. Maybe it's underrated, but even the full price for this game is a really good price point for the game that it offers. Packs quite a punch, so get a good game for an affordable price. Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game. I'll see you on the next show. My name is Bobby, and this has been These Totally Geeky Games. Bye.
Hey folks, welcome back to another segment of Just Missed It. And this is a segment where I take a game that just missed the mark in one way, shape, or form. And usually that means that I don't like the game for whatever reason it is, or it just missed staying in my collection, or something to that effect, where just because of some thing that was off or wrong or something to that effect just didn't strike my fancy as much as I thought it was. who knows? So today we're taking a look at this game right here. Endless Pass, a Viking saga. And you might be wondering, well, why, Sam, do you have 2 copies of Endless Pass in your possession? Well, the reason is because I did a review of Endless Pass, and I actually really enjoy the game. But some of the components and things just didn't strike my fancy. First of all, the graphic design of the game is not good at all, and there's just not a whole lot going on. There are some components on the back, but just not enough to really give you a feel for what the game is like. And the front of the box, well, it's just too stark. Maybe they were thinking it was going to pop on the shelf with all of these other different colorful side boxes, and I don't know what they were thinking, but that was the thing that just missed it. And on top of that, the copy that I got for review, unfortunately, was a pre-production copy. So some of the things that were in here that I actually talked about on the review were not final production stuff. So what I thought I would do is just take this episode or this segment of Just Missed It and go over some of those differences, show you a production copy, and compare that to what I was using in my review, and that will hopefully clear the air a little bit. So first of all, on this side, I have the pre-production copy that I was sent for review, and then on this side, I have a production copy that was sent after that review went up. As you can see, there are differentiations between the colors of the different palettes of the cards, and they should all be the same, like in these 4 cards over here. And that was one of the things that kind of alerted me to a problem on the very offset. And I understand that sometimes when games go to printers, that's what kind of happens. Something messes up at the printer and this kind of stuff happens. So I mentioned it in the review. It was a letdown. It was a disappointment. And when the folks at WizKids saw my review, they took a look at some of their production copies. And of course, this is what they found to be the case of the games that are on the shelves in stores and so forth and so on. Now, the other components that are in the game, the other deck of cards, there's no difference at all. There was no problem with the copy that I got, and the new production copy that I received, also there's no problems with the other deck in here, the actual pass deck, so there's no worries. But these are the pre-production copy tokens that were sent, and these are the ones from the production copy. And they basically have the same quality to them. I don't think there's any much difference. There is a little bit of the same kind of moon shaped black borders on the pre-production as there are also on the production copy. So these are about the same. The only real difference that I saw was the cards that I've already showed you. So that's about it for this segment of Just Missed It. I don't want to, my main point here is that I think it's great that WizKids was willing to come back and contact me about it and kind of show me that there was a mistake on their end, and they apologized for that, and of course sent a replacement of that review copy with a production copy so that I could see that the product that you guys are going to be purchasing isn't like what I showed you in that original review. So I do want to say that I think it's good that WizKids did that, and kudos to them for doing so. But with all that having been said, I think the graphic design is still a disappointment at best with this game, and I don't want to kick a dead horse or anything like that, so to speak. But I do want to say that this is a great, fun game in spite of its graphic design woes. If you watched the instruction part of my review and you got the gameplay there and you said, you know what, that looks like fun, I'd go ahead and go out and get it, because at the end of the day, it is a fun game. Even though it might not look that great, it still is a lot of fun to play. So that's it for Just Missed It. The graphic design of Endless Pass, a Viking Saga, is what just missed the mark, but it is still a fun game, so go ahead and give it a try. Let's get back to the rest of your lunch.
Hey, hello there, I'm Melo, and this is Boards Beyond the Boards, a segment where we talk about games that are language independent or have very little language independence. And today we take a look at a beautiful game called Photosynthesis from Blue Orange. It's a game designed by Jalmar Hodge and Sabrina Miramon, and plays 2 to 4 players in about 30 to 40 minutes. Each player will receive a personal board and a sun token that will help you to track how many sun point lights you have during the game. Those are the trees that are available for you to acquire during the game. The cost of each tree and each seed will be right next to it, so smallest trees 2 and 3, medium 3 and 4, and so forth. Also on the bottom of the board we'll show you the cost to upgrade your seed into a small tree into a medium-sized tree, and so on until you'll be able to turn a large tree into points. Then place all the leftover trees and the seeds next to your board. Those are trees that are available for you to plant right away. Each tree is worth different amount of sunlight points according to its size. So a small tree is worth 1, medium 3 2, and a large 3 3. Photosynthesis is played in 3 rounds of 6 phases. Each round is consistent of full revolution of the sun around the forest. Let's say I have this 2 situation here, where that tree, although it's smaller, it's receiving sun before the larger tree, and the larger tree, because it's taller, also will receive sunlight. So you're gonna get 1 point for the blue player, and you're gonna get 2 points for the yellow player. Now in this situation, as the sun is shining this way, this tree is casting a shadow on the smaller tree, so shading that tree from sun, so that tree will receive no points, while this will receive 2 points. Now if you had a situation like this, blue would have 2 points, yellow would have no points because that's a medium-sized tree which casts a shadow of 2, and then large tree which is 1 2 3, so it's taller than the 2. Even if this casts a shadow of 2, it won't be casting a shadow to that large tree. So you're still going to score points for that tree and for that tree. In order to plant trees, you're going to have to plant seeds first. And the way this works is that you can plant a seed as far as the shadow that is cast by a different tree. So in this case, this tree is a medium-sized tree, so I can place a seed a distance of 2 in any direction from that tree. So I could place it in there, for example. The objective of the game is to grow your tree to its fullest height. This way you can harvest the trees and score points as you do that. Photosynthesis has definitely become one of my favorite abstracted games. I'm not very big on abstracted games. I like games with more thematic. But that said, this is a very thematic game for an abstract. The whole idea of planting seeds and growing your tree is surprisingly thematic for an abstract, and I love the game. I think the game is very easy to teach, very easy to learn. I've played with people that plays a lot of board games. I have played with people that are new to board games. Both groups really liked and enjoy the game. The game looks beautiful on the table, and it's kind of very fun, very lighthearted to play. So I definitely indicate it, and I would encourage people to play if you have the chance. And yeah, Blue Orange Photosynthesis. And I see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jennette the Metal Meeple, and this is the Budget Board Game Breakdown. So I know that we talk a lot about small card games and things like that on this segment, mostly because if it's a budget game, it's usually going to be cheap or on clearance a lot of the time. So anyway, this is a card game, but bear with me. If you're familiar with games like Tichu, this is Chimera. This is basically what people consider the 3-player Tichu. And I recently got this. I've played Tichu quite a bit, and I've only been playing this for a couple weeks now. But let me kind of show you about the game. If you're not familiar with Tichu or any kind of ladder climbing games and things like that, this is kind of interesting because it's a 3-player only game. You must have 3 players. There is a version out there by Eagle Griffin, I believe, that's 5 players as well, but basically it's a 3-player game if you play the base Chimera. The game comes with essentially 54 cards. It's a basic deck with some jokers, but in this one it's themed out where you got 4 colors with 1 to 12. Each one has a hero card, and then there's the Chimera and the Pia card, I guess, or Paya card. And those are special cards. They have some special rules to it. What's going to happen is one player is going to shuffle these up, flip a card, or cut the deck, flip a card, put it on top, and go like that. They're going to take 3 cards and put it as the Chimera Den, and then every other player, or all 3 players, are going to receive the rest of the cards, so 17 cards apiece. And I'm not really going to go through all this up until at least get to the face-up card. The reason is because the face-up card is going to be the player who starts the bidding. We would continue dealing this out, and then you would look at your cards to determine how fast you think you can go out and run out of cards. The reason is because you want to bid on being the Chimera. And the Chimera is the one who's going to start the trick or start the first trick, and they're going to try to go out first. So if you have a very strong hand and you can kind of see in the future, you might try to bid real high for the Chimera. There's only 3 possible bids. There's a 20, 30, and a 40. You can also pass. If the Chimera wins, they're going to get double those points. Well, more on that in a minute, but let me show you the combinations. This is where I think the game differs from Tichu quite a bit, is the amount of combinations that you have. There's 14 here, I believe, that you can do. For the most part, there's all the typical stuff, single card, double card, and if you're not familiar with trick-taking games like this, essentially what happens is the Chimera or the player who leads the trick is going to play something, and you have to follow through with the exact same thing. So if you play a pair of cards, 2 5s, then the next player has to play a pair, but they has to be higher than 5, obviously. It has to be 6s or higher. The next player would also have to play a pair. So basically it's pairs being played. Somebody plays triplets, you got to do the same thing, etc. Well, in this one, you can actually do something like this. You can do triplets with an attached card. You can play 3 6s, or in this example, 3 1s and a 6. That's really cool because it allows you to burn a card that you normally wouldn't be able to play in a sequence, and it allows you to get rid of cards that are filler in your hand of cards. Because you got a ton of cards. You got 17, and if you win Chimera, you get this Chimera Den, and it's 20. Now, I haven't mentioned this yet, but it's a 3-player game. One player is going to be the Chimera. The other 2 are Chimera Hunters, and they're going to be playing against the Chimera. So, as you're playing the game, the Chimera is trying to go out, but the Hunters are trying to work together to put the Chimera out as well. So, the first player to run out of cards, that team wins, essentially. Anyway, there's some scoring. If the Chimera wins, there's some bonus points that might happen, etc. They get double the points that they actually bid to become Chimera, but if they lose, they get negative those points. So if you bid 30, you would get 60. If you win as Chimera, if you lose, you would get negative 30. With the Hunters, they get a base 20, and then everyone, no matter who wins, they're going to get points for each 11 card that they have and 2 card, because the 11s are worth 5 points apiece, and the 2s are worth 10 points apiece. So anyway, I know that's kind of just crazy if you're not familiar with trick-taking games. It is a little bit of a play it a few times to get really deep into it, but at the end of a round, you would score points, and then you would do it all over again until somebody reaches 400. That player is going to win, or whoever has the highest at that point wins. And what I really like about this game is the fact that it's a deck of cards, right? And typically those traditional card games, you can just play over and over and over and over, and this is no different. This game is literally the same thing. I mean, you could just play it hours upon hours, and it's just, it's so good. I really like it. And I'm not really a fan of traditional card games. So anyway, if you like it, comment below. Let me know what you think of it in comparison to Tichu. I think Tichu's a better game, but it's 4 players. This is 3 players. Kind of interesting to have both. So let me know what you think. Please email me at timjennette@gmail.com. Follow me on social media. Check out my podcast, Meeplecore. And until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Rook and Record, where I pick the perfect soundtrack for you, or at least me, to listen to while playing my favorite games. And today we are taking a look at the excellent dice drafting, stained glass window creating Sagrada. And as soon as I saw this beautifully colored game with all of its intricate dice numbering masteries hit the table, I knew that the perfect soundtrack to listen to without a doubt was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. This is not only often considered their greatest album, which is saying a lot, and even though it's not my personal favorite Beatles album, it is often cited as one of the greatest albums of all time. Check out any of those top 100 greatest record lists out there, and this is bound to be in the top 10, if not in the number 1 slot. Anyway, the reason why this is the perfect pick is that, like Sagrada, Sgt. Pepper's is beautiful, it's colorful, it's bright, it's trippy, and it kind of hurts my brain a little bit to think about too much. Like, there's a level of sophistication and intricacy in this album. You see, this was the transition point when the Beatles were going from their touring days into true studio mastery, and they were experimenting with what the limits of pop and rock could be. That sort of elegance and singular focus is something that reminds me of Sagrada itself, in that every single mechanism in this game feels perfectly tuned and elegantly woven together in order to create something that is approachable, but also just very, very deep and crunchy, and in a lot of ways intimidating for someone like me that's like, oh God, what am I going to do with this 5 here? So beyond all that, there's all this hoity-toity stuff that I could say, but I could also say that this is a really fun game, and this is a really fun album. So they belong together. The Cardboard Herald's pick for the perfect album to listen to while playing Sagrada is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So let me know what you thought of our pick. What do you think of the Beatles? What do you think of Sagrada? And what game do you want us to Rook and Recordify next? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the Cardboard Herald on our channel. We have all sorts of other reviews, recommendations, Rooks and records, all kinds of other junk. I'm sure you'll love it, and so please check it out. Lastly, thank you so much again for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald, and remember that the more that we do of these, the less bad music you will have to suffer at the table.
Hi, we're Boardgame Opinions. My name's Jonathan Hicks.
I'm Steve Ryan.
And I'm Mark Windle.
And today our golden oldie is Twilight Struggle, which I think was #1 on Board Game Geek for many years. It's a very popular game, but it is quite a niche game in some ways. It tries to simulate the Cold War. So, 2-player game, one player takes the USA, the other player takes the USSR as it was, and it's not quite a war game, although it feels a little bit like that, but you're really fighting over influence rather than fighting with armies. You're trying to get influence in different countries. You have all these little chits that represent certain amounts of influence for either the Americans or the USSR player. And the more influence you get in more countries, the better able you are to score points. The game all resolves around card play though. That's what's really interesting about it. When it's your turn, you take it in turns to play a card from your hand, and you can use the card for a couple of different things. So there's always some kind of event on it. This is the Fidel event. But there's also some points that you can use. So you either spend the card to use the points, which you can use typically to add influence to various different countries, or you can use the event. But often the events favor one player over the other player. And if you play a card for the points, and it's actually the other player's event, there's little colors that tell you who it favors, then you have to trigger their event. So a card might be really good for the points, but you're going to be giving them some beneficial event. So in this case, as an example, this Fidel event removes all the USA influence from Cuba and replaces it with the USSR influence. So that's terrible for the American player. So there's a lot of tension between, do I want to use the points, or do you want to use the event sometimes, or do you not want to trigger the other person's event? So that's really where the trick comes in. But the other thing you're going to find is that every now and then in your hand you can have scoring cards. And the scoring cards basically give you points depending on how much influence you've got in different countries. If you've got a certain amount more than the other person, you control that country. And if you control enough countries, then that's how you're going to score the points. But so these scoring cards have to be played. So it gets to the end of the round, you're starting to run very low on card. It's like, I'm going to have to play the scoring card. So you need to make sure you've got lots of influence in that country. But the tricky thing is, if you start putting lots of influence in Europe, then the other player's going to be like, oh, I bet he's got the Europe scoring card. I need to put some influence in Europe. And that's where a lot of the fun, I think, comes from.
It's very weird in the game for you to have cards in your hand, and sometimes quite a lot of cards in your hand, that are really bad for you. You're like, none of these are good. There is, you can kind of chuck one card a turn away on the space race, and you get various bonus for being the first to do various things in the race for space. But you're like, this is going to lose this, and this is going to allow my opponent to do that. but you get to choose what order things happen in. So you might think, oh, he's just done that, which means this isn't as bad for me now, I'll play it now. And that's really nice.
So you keep scoring points as you go through the game. It's like a tug of war, and essentially if you manage to, the first person to get to 20 points more than the other player wins the game. What do you think, Mark?
I love the historical accuracy thing with this. I think that's probably one of its biggest strengths, and the fact that all the events are real life events.
Yeah.
Despite its complexity, it's in a way a nice teaching tool showing you this is things that really happened over a dark period in the history of mankind. Look at and see all the things that were going on alongside the world.
One of the things I do like is you can spend points to trigger a coup, essentially, and try and fight over a particular country to wrest control from the opponent. But when you do this, it starts moving the DEFCON track down, and the further it goes, the more it restricts where you can fight, and if it goes too far, then it triggers nuclear war, and the person whose turn it was, isn't it?
Who played the card that triggered the event. Even if you played a card and your opponent triggered it from your card, you would be the one to lose because you've allowed them to kind of go to nuclear war.
So it just ends the game instantly. So it's rare that happens, but it's nice that there's always that possibility. You've always got to be very careful with it.
There's different ways to win. So it's not just about the VP track. It is about watching the DEFCON, not allowing your opponent to do that. And I think certainly if you control the whole of Europe as well.
Yes, that's right.
As well, that's the third win condition. So you can't just say, I'm winning on points, but if they're winning in Europe, they've still got a shot to win.
So if you like this kind of heavier game with lots of strategy to it, we highly recommend you try this one out. It's old, but it's a good one. All right, thanks very much. That was Twilight Struggle. See you.
Welcome back to a Fellowship of Meeples. This is the show that talks about the gaming group and the people that comprise the gaming group. Now, I have been promising to bring you some interviews of those people, and I'm going to do that. But things keep coming up that I really want to put on our segment, and this is one of those weeks. Because recently we had a very special day. It was International Tabletop Day. And of course I went. We had a great time. I had a great crowd. It was all at the Game Masters Guild here in Crestview, Florida. The place was packed with people playing games, having fun. Our gaming group people were there. We played some games together. We played some games with some new people. We played things like, I think we started out with the Oracle of Delphi, which was a new game for me. Thank you so much, Kevin, for bringing that and for teaching it to us. Also, we played Terraforming Mars, which is one of my all-time favorites. We played Roll For It, which has become one of my all-time favorites. You may get the impression that I like games a lot, and I do. I like just about any kind of game there is. So it's hard for me to pinpoint a favorite, so I just call them all my all-time favorites. Also, some other people were there that I had no clue who they were, but we had a great time meeting them. Some gentlemen were there playing Mahjong. We had some people there playing yeah. We had some people there playing that game with the panda and the bamboo. That was kind of cool. They had a really nice deluxe set of it too, which was awesome to see. We had some people there playing Rajas of the Ganges. Did I say that right? Rajas of the Ganges. And that was a game, I've never played that. It looks really interesting. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I'm hoping to do that soon. Well, in our last segment, we talked about the quandary I was having, whether or not we spend our precious game night time learning new games, which we all like to do, but it is time consuming, or do we play old games and try to better our strategies, better our scores, beat the person that maybe beat us last time? How do we spend those precious minutes and precious hours? Well, over the last 3 sessions, this hasn't been a problem for us because we found a game that everybody keeps asking to play again. So I thought, even though I don't do game reviews on this session, I thought that I would share this game with you. Not really a review, but just to share with you a game that we have found fascinating in our group. And that is this game designed by Philip Dewberry called Black Orchestra. It's published by Game Salute, and the theme, I think, is what's really captured our attention with this. The gameplay is excellent too, but the theme is a World War II game where we have one task and one task only. Only one thing will let us win, and that is to assassinate Hitler before the end of World War II. Now, some may say this is a controversial game, being that you have to assassinate somebody, but I think that it handles this time period in a very, very good way, a very somber way, a very reverent way. This is a very historically accurate game. The events that take place in this game are straight from the history books. And I don't think that anybody takes this time period lightly. Certainly nobody in our gaming group does. We're very aware of the atrocities that happen. And yet, in our minds and during our game time, it kind of gives us the ability to go back in time and to change some of those things if possible. To stop this evil man from committing these atrocities that killed millions of people. And so this has proven to be just a really, really exciting game for us. And I would suggest that if this type of thing interests you at all, that you try out Black Orchestra, because we've had so much fun with it. Now the gameplay I find excellent. Now I have the second edition. I think they did a few rules tweaks in this, but it plays great. It plays smooth. It's not a complicated game to play. You can actually teach this one fairly quickly. But we lost the first 2 times we played this, and everybody wanted to play it again. They wanted to win this thing. They wanted to assassinate Hitler, and we weren't going to rest until we did. So we played this again last game night, and we won. Yeah, here's our victory photo right here for you. But we had such a great time doing this. So in answer to the question I asked last week, and some of you provided some great comments, by the way, but I guess that one of the things is that occasionally you find one of those games that everybody just wants to play again. And hey, you know, in your game group, there's really no rules that are set in concrete. If everybody wants to play a game again, hey, let's play it again. So just a little addendum to my last episode here on Throat Punch Lunch. But next episode, I am going to introduce you to some people who have made all of our game night gaming possible. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time. So we'll look forward to seeing you on the next Throat Punch Lunch.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to bring you another episode of Solo-Thrash, Amerithrash gaming for those of us who like to play alone. Today I want to present a beautiful and quick solo filler, Sunset Over Water. In Sunset Over Water, you are an artist whose goal is to collect beautiful landscapes that you turn into paintings that you then sell for a commission. Whoever has the most points at the end of a multiplayer game wins. In the solo game, you're competing against yourself to see what your highest score could be. Each turn, you will choose a planning card that affects the entire rest of your turn. You choose what time you get up, which can affect the board state in various ways. The card that you choose also affects how you can move. For example, on this one, you can move 2 landscape cards in any direction, and you can also pick up 1 painting. In this one, you can move 3 spaces diagonally or horizontally, but not vertically, but you can pick up 2 paintings. And if you sleep in and end up very rested, you can only move in the 4 cardinal directions, but you can pick up to 3 paintings. And these are the kinds of choices that you'll be making each turn. How will the time that I get up affect the board state? And then how will my movements and opportunities to pick up paintings affect my strategy? Each of your moves and the paintings that you choose to paint should be directed towards completing commissions, which allow you to earn varying numbers of points. In order to successfully complete a commission, you need to have paintings that match the symbols that are printed on the commission cards. These symbols can include, of course, things like water, flowers, and waterfalls. Sunset Over Water is not only a strategically fun solo game, but it's obviously, as you can see, very beautiful, thanks to the illustrations of Beth Sobel. It's also a very calming game that only takes about 20 minutes to play, which means that it's a perfect choice for a work night or for travel. Its small box, quick setup time, and quick play time make it an excellent solo game even if you're pressed for time. So if you're looking for a quick, affordable, portable, and beautiful solo game, then Sunset Over Water may be for you. Happy gaming.
Hey everybody, Even Steven here. From last week, I tallied up your votes for the games that you want Sarah and Haley to play for the Non-Gamer Insight, and we have 2 winners. We have Magic Maze, a good cooperative game that they're going to have to play with me, and we have Ink and Gold, a good push your luck game. So, This is going to be fun. We're going to see next time I'm going to play it with them, and you're going to see what they think of those two games. I also want to get back to our contest from last week. Lance Coffee, congratulations, you are the winner of the trivia challenge. So look for an email I'll send to you. Now, this week, what I want to get to is we picked two games for them, Magic Maze and Ink and Gold. And the time before that, they picked Santorini and Elkfest as Sarah and Haley's first games that they chose off my shelf. I want to know, at any point, do you think, as a gamer and the teacher of someone new to the group, do you think you are responsible for navigating them to a game that they like? Or when I took them into my game room, should I just let them pick from whatever I choose? What if, for example, they pick something like Clans of Caledonia as one of their first games? Great game, but it's a little bit deeper for someone that's just getting into the hobby. Should I intervene and say, maybe direct them somewhere different? Or what if they're really interested in this theme in general? Or maybe should I pick a game with a similar theme, but with a maybe easier rule set for them to learn? So I'm curious for your guys' thoughts on this. Should I ever intervene in what they pick? Or if someone is new to the hobby, do I want to scare them off by picking something that maybe they don't like? But also, you have to look at, what if we pick something too difficult as their first game as a board gamer and it scares them off from the hobby in general? That's something I think a lot of us don't think about because we're so ingrained into the hobby from all the games that we play that we forget what it was like to even play our first game. For a lot of people, it was Catan or Ticket to Ride. So usually those games are good gateway games to introduce gamers into the hobby. Just something I was thinking about. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Also, when I teach these games, when I look at Magic Maze, how should I introduce this to a person who has never played a cooperative game? Maybe they haven't. So maybe I should lay out the goal first, is what I usually do when I teach someone new. So I'll say, okay, we're trying to escape the maze in this game. It's cooperative, so we're all working together. So right away, they have two goals that they know. We're working together and we're trying to get out of the maze. As long as they have like that goal from the start of the teaching of the rules, I think they will do well with this one. And the other one you want to look at is Ink and Gold, right? We're going to see this next week. Now this one is a push your luck game, so I want to say you're going to maybe gamble a little bit. Is there a little bit of luck in this with card play, and you're trying to get the most gems by the end when I explain the rules next week. So when you're trying to get the most money and the most gold, that immediately knows, okay, that's my objective, get the most money. And we're going to push our luck a little bit, so I'm going to make some decisions about that. So that's just some thoughts on that. Next week we'll see how they do. I think you guys made really good choices this week. So we'll see you next time, guys.
So that just about wraps up another episode of Throat Punch Lunch. I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us for a few short minutes here on the channel. We certainly appreciate it. I want to thank all of my contributors for the hard work that they're putting into each of their segments, and I certainly hope that you guys appreciate that as well. Now, just another caveat being for the name change lottery that is about to go on, or maybe has already started at this point. I do want to keep the initials, as I said before, TPL. I would also like to keep the words punch and lunch in there as well. So I'm really looking for that zinger of a T word. I don't know what it's going to be, but just let it ride, let it flow. Show me what you've got, and we'll think about it amongst ourselves, and then hopefully get back with a name change here in the next, I don't know, short time frame. I don't know exactly how short, might be longer than you'd expect, but we're gonna do it. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you taking the time. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.